Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here with you live today with Sabine Matharu to talk about the Blake Friday bundle and also the wonderful resource that she contributed to the bundle. So before we get started, for those who don't know, the Blake Friday bundle, it is opening tomorrow, November 21st at 8 a.m. Central, and it is a collection of more than 70 resources, 70 really, really quality resources, I have to say. And it is just filled to the brim with everything that you could possibly need to simplify your life and your business. And Sabine very graciously gave a product or contributed a product to the bundle as well. So Sabine, I would love for you to just share a little bit more about what that product is. But before we get to that, I wanted to mention, if you haven't signed up for the waitlist yet, make sure you go and sign up for the waitlist. So we will link to that in all of the places that you are seeing here. So make sure you go sign up for the waitlist, get on the waitlist, get some little goodies that we're giving only for those on the waitlist, or you can go to blakefridaybundle.com and you'll be able to sign up on the waitlist. And if you're listening to this after the doors open, you will be able to grab the bundle as well. But it's not around forever. It goes away on November 26th. I had to look at the calendar because I forgot the day. November 26th at 11:59 p.m. Central. The bundle expires forever. So make sure that you grab it before then. So Sabine, do you want to share a little bit more about the product that you contributed to the bundle, which was the Evergreen Webinar Launch Bundle? So you're doing a bundle within a bundle.
Oh, yeah, I do. How interesting. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for creating these amazing bundles. I think it's really useful, especially for entrepreneurs who are still sort of trying to piecemeal together what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be actually rolling with their business. And I think this is what I was kind of thinking. I was sitting here thinking, what will be really useful here? And for me, to be honest, when I started off, I was absolutely overwhelmed and I didn't know how to really get visibility. And obviously we talk about visibility and content creation, and I always talk about evergreen. Evergreening everything to me means that you create it once and then you can use it over and over again. And in that vein, I actually created the Ultimate Evergreen Webinar Launch Bundle, because I believe also not only evergreen is important, but also being visible, and webinars is a wonderful way to actually really connect with the audience.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I love evergreening everything as well, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know, you put so much time and energy into creating something. Why not repurpose it? So when I think a lot of people think of evergreen, they think of these really in-depth like funnels, right? So I would love to just kind of start off by saying, like, from your perspective, what does evergreen mean to you?
Yeah, so it doesn't mean that you have to automate everything and it just your business becomes impersonal. I think there are things that you might want to automate, all the things that you do over and over again, and it's just really annoying, right? And there could be stuff that you really don't like to do, or you could create maybe a document. And I'm working all the time on these documents. I call them standard operating procedures. And probably that comes from my background, because I used to be a sort of process improvement manager in the corporate world. I mean, but the idea is the same here in our businesses. What are things that we really don't enjoy doing and that we do over and over again? Could we perhaps even outsource that? So you might want to create a document and you list all the steps that you have in your own head, and you can actually give it to a VA as and when you're ready to do that. We're talking about content, obviously. One of the big, the bundles is around the content and visibility, right? So content creation, again, this could be something that, we're not always creative every single day. So could we evergreen that perhaps, and putting our previous content in a content pool, and then could we pull from that as well? So that's another way to evergreen and think about how can I reutilize and keep my business basically evergreen. Everything I'm doing is just like that. It's not this stop start or reinventing your wheel all over. That's really evergreening things.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's great. And especially when it comes to visibility, that's something that a lot of people struggle with, right? We always need to get more visible, right? That's the name of the game as entrepreneurs. So do you mind sharing just a couple of ways that you can help people get more visible? So I know we've talked about Evergreen, we've talked about webinars specifically, but do you have any other tips or suggestions that people can take into account when they're thinking about increasing their visibility, and not just increasing it, but accelerating it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I would say simplify, really simplify your business, because I think quite often we overthinking when clients come to me, and obviously I work with them sort of really looking over the shoulder. We would look at the business model around, how do you actually want to run your business? Do you want to have a membership model? You want a high ticket? Do you want to pre-record courses, whatever it may be? And we'll actually think this through. And then obviously comes that work of, now you got to be visible and you got to actually share what you are creating here. And then quite often they say, yeah, I want to start a podcast. I want to write a book. And you know what? I actually written 3 books. I got 3 books here that I've done. It was an awful lot of work. And we got to really think through, what is it going to do? What's the return on investment? And does it align with who I am as a person and how I want to show up in my business? And not everyone may want to do webinars. It may be actually scary for some people. Actually doing live streams was scary for me as well. But here I'm sitting doing a live stream with you, right? And every other day I am doing some sort of live stream with someone. It's just you grow into this and you sort of master perhaps 1 or 2 strategies. And I would say that's probably my big tip is, look at 2, 3 maximum strategies that would suit you. One of the things that I actually help my clients do is choose that strategy, because I've worked out there's probably hundreds of strategies, but there are about 25, 26, I reckon, main strategies that actually is perhaps either you like offline. So offline networking could be a visibility strategy. It could be you speaking on a real stage. It could be you speaking on an online stage, and there are strategies within that as well. Then there is the totally hands-off, like I'm just behind the scenes visible, and you may be just putting out a lead magnet or a pre-recorded video or a written piece of content, and that's also visibility. So, there's so many, like how long is a piece of string, right? There's so many versions of visibility, and it has to align with your business.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it also has to align with your strengths as well. Because, I mean, for example, if somebody does not enjoy speaking, like that is probably not the best visibility strategy. Whether you're scared, you're not comfortable, you just don't enjoy doing it, you're incredibly introverted, whatever it is. I think that's a very important thing to consider as well when you're thinking about that.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we may learn from other gurus, or we look at what other people are doing in this space, and then we think we got to do the same thing. But actually, no, we just need to stay in our own lane and really think what suits us and how do we want to show up and when do we want to show up? Because otherwise, we might as well just get another 9-to-5 job, right? If we have to be at a certain place, do certain things the way other people are telling us.
Right, exactly. That's one of the benefits, one of many benefits of being an entrepreneur. You get to choose what you want to do, right? And that's not just the hours you work or the time of day that you're working or what you're doing, the type of service that you offer, what you're selling. It also even comes down to those very specific strategies that you're implementing as well. So I think that's great. The other piece of this that I want to discuss a little bit is repurposing, because we've talked about the importance of repurposing, especially when it comes to Evergreen, right? So do you have any little tips or strategies that you want to share quickly for people before we wrap up, and just a different way that it could work for them based on the type of business model that they have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends what strategy one might choose. So I'll give my own strategy. I love to do webinars, and that's why I've put the webinar bundle together. Now I do a hybrid. Sometimes I do live webinars, and sometimes I just record those webinars, and then I have a tool where I can just play it whenever. And I guess you could even use something like StreamYard and stream it into, and you're not even physically there. But what could you do with that content that you've created? Sometimes I write a couple of notes, and also use ChatGPT, right? We got AI obviously also available to help us. We can repurpose, we can transcribe whatever videos we create, we can use our notes, create newsletters from it, for example, or emails or other posts. We could use things like I use Opus Clip AI, which is basically I can upload, for example, this interview. It will then cut it into shorter segments, and then I can reutilize that and then have several posts going out. It will also give me the transcription, so I would actually have a VA who helps me, which I'm a very good position now, and I actually evergreened that as well with her and said, look, this is the standard operating procedure. Every time I do a webinar or a interview or a podcast, take the stream, the file, transcribe it, and then now we create a collateral of other stuff around that. So it could be another written piece, shorter pieces, and then we are, creating posts from it, and they all go out. So you don't have to create so many pieces of content. It could be just small pieces and small nuggets from one big content piece that you created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing that I always recommend to people. Especially if you're creating any type of long form content, whether that's a video, a webinar, a podcast episode, anything that's, or even blog post, right? Chop that into pieces and use it everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
Spread it as many places as possible. And I've been preaching that for years at this point. And that was before ChatGPT was around.
Yeah. Now it's easier, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. It's so much easier with all the AI. You just download that transcript and it's going to give you everything that you need in a couple of seconds. It's incredible.
Yeah,
so incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So not just accelerating your visibility, like we've talked about ways to do that, but accelerating it really strategically by even tapping into AI to let that handle the majority of the work for you, which is just so important. So,
and then you can schedule it out as well with tools. You don't even need to sit there and post it, right? So you got
exactly. Exactly. So do you have any other tips or strategies that you wanted to share? Maybe anything that aligns with the Evergreen Webinar Launch Bundle before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to mention what's inside the bundle, because I think it's really cool. There's actually 3 different elements inside the bundle. Number 1, of course, there is a information about the Evergreen webinar strategy. So I've actually created a little challenge. So it's not just a one-off sort of class. It actually gives you workbooks to work through little chunks. So you can actually create your own webinar, your webinar title, the flow of the webinar, how to actually get people to come to the webinar as well. So you've got really cool training there, like an actionable training. And then the second bit here as well is I've created a readiness quiz to see how ready and which areas you could be actually thinking about evergreening your business. So that's inside. And the third thing, I put a little audio together to help you to visualize your business, how it would look evergreen as well. And I think it's really important to also work on your energetics, because strategy is one thing, overthinking things is another, and putting all these systems in place. But we've got to work on our energetics, on our beliefs, on our mindset, and really connect with our business and our audience as well. That's the glue that has to work hand in hand. And I'm not a mindset coach. I really am not, but I really understand that those elements have to work together. And I think that's my little nugget to the end, just to say that those elements have to connect.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You cannot, and I've done it. I've tried to only push through and only focus on strategy, and I learned not quickly. It took me years, honestly. It took me years to realize that was not the only way to do it.
It's a continuous journey.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So really, yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it really is the marriage of those 2 things, like the strategy, the energy, mindset work. Well, not 2 things, marriage of a lot of different pieces, right? That really set you up for success. So Thank you again for being here. Thank you for chatting me all about the resource that you are contributing to the Blake Friday bundle. I also just want to say that this little bundle that you have created, the Evergreen Webinar Launch Bundle, it's normally $97 on its own. But when you buy the Blake Friday bundle starting on November 21st, you get access to more than 70 resources for only $7. So it truly, truly is a no-brainer. Like, even if you're like somewhat thinking about evergreening at some point in the future, right? Like, you should just get this. You should get it. You should sign up for it. Start using it when you're ready for it. But do not miss out on this deal, because it's such an incredible deal to get all of these really, really premium resources for almost free, basically free. It's $7, right?
Really.
It's less than a
That's
Starbucks
insane. Really
coffee.
cool. Really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, we have linked to that in all of the places for you, or you can go to BlakeFridayBundle.com to sign up for the wait list if you're listening to this before the doors open. After the doors open, go to the same place. It's going to take you to the right page. And thank you again for being here, Sabine. This is a really, really great conversation.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it as well.